now I understand what happened to that building, or at least I think I do. And if I understand it, maybe I can use that to my advantage. And of course, she's not realizing that her idea of using that to her advantage is terrorism. Um,
Welcome to Casuals of Runeterra, Arcane Episode 3 Recap. I'm your host, Ryan, here with your other host, Hedge.
What's up, everybody? The hype train rolls!
We keep rolling. You thought we were going to stop. We promised. We promised you something. We're going to deliver, right? We always deliver on our promises, I think. Don't hold us to that. It's been over 60 episodes. I don't know if that's true.
I'm sure our true fans are already writing out like 3 promises we've broken.
So Noxus fans are banding together.
Yeah, because we broke a promise in the second episode because you used my real name in the first episode, said it'd never happen again, and then used it immediately in the second episode. So yeah,
welcome to the land of broken promises, where you can listen to us everywhere. Housekeeping up top. Visit us at podcastcore.com for all our info. You can follow us at any platform there that you prefer. Send us an email at podcastcore@gmail.com. It's a great place to contact us, especially with all this Arcane stuff going on, so we can talk about things. Any specific questions, any clarifications if we get stuff wrong. We are casuals here, okay? We're hardcore casuals.
That's right. We take being casual very seriously.
Exactly. And then please leave a like, follow, and a short review wherever you decide to listen. It helps us, get discoverability, get it out there, and bring the knowledge to more people in a nice, tight little package. But the best way is to tell a friend to beware of the traps by listening to the Casuals of Runeterra podcast.
That's right. We cast to detect traps. So we got y'all covered. Just let us lead.
Let us lead. So obviously at this point, we all know there's a 3-act structure in which they're releasing this in like an event style. And this first act is 3 episodes. So this is the last episode of this act. So we're going to get some action here. We're going to get some resolutions to some points. And we start, though, with a very interesting opening, which is a very wide shot of Silco sleeping with the fishes.
And that's it. Arcane's over. It wasn't
done.
Actually three chapters. Nothing's happening next week.
The villain is dead.
And the 3rd episode was just 10 seconds.
Yeah, so we get this shot of Silco sinking. We have this inner monologue of him talking about the feeling of drowning and what it does to a person. And, this is kind of immediately cut back to where we left off in episode 2 with some wardens running down the street, kicking in doors. You love to see it.
Yep, love to see
They
it.
knock first. So granted, there's some courtesy.
Yeah, open up. It's the police. Immediately gunfire. Fascism.
So
we get this opening of the door as far as with the enforcers,
yes,
just kicking it in, and then the other side of it is a surprise. It's Vi, but it's not the enforcers coming through the door. It's Vander.
Yep.
So we're aware that there are more raids happening as far as in this night, but we're not watching the raid right now. We're watching Vander come in, and Vander's like, okay, look, I remember everything I taught you. You take care of your family. All right. And you take care of yourself out there. Okay, kid?
Real Dom Toretto energy.
And Benzo is with him as well. And Benzo's just kind of like watching out the door, and like while Vander's trying to like tell Vi to watch out for family, Benzo's like, yo, we're running out of time. And then he throws Vi into a cellar, locks her in, and then now we get the kicking of the door, and it's the enforcers. And it not just any enforcers, it's Grayson and Marcus. And Grayson's like, okay, Vander, I got your message. Cough up the kids. And because Vander is such a great dad, he coughs up the kids right away, right, Ryan?
And once again, episode over. It's that easy. But no, I want to make a quick comment based on how you said, like the whole swap, right? They played the viewer, haha, you got us. It was Vander who was opening the door. But one good insight to how they move around the city or the town or whatever you want to call the lanes is that when you're in those kind of slum situations, you know it better than the enforcers, right? There's always a secret way to get somewhere. We know Echo has been glorious for this, for just popping up in situations he shouldn't be able to pop up in without being noticed, right? So it makes a lot of sense that they were able to get their moments before. It's like, hey, we have a bit of time. Here's what's going to happen. And then the warden show up.
We're going to get that again, too,
Yep.
because, so, a little bit of a spoiler there. But yeah, like if you're not one of the beat cops, you're not going to know the town. Vander gets there first, locks Vi away. Grayson, Marcus are like, okay, Vander, cough up the kid. And Vander's like, yeah, I'm here.
Take me.
I did it. So, go ahead and take me. And Grayson does try to talk Vander out of it because, again, the two of them have been showing how delicate this balance of peace is right now. And the way that piece is being... The way that this fascist piece is being upheld is that Vander is keeping all the Zonites on a tight leash of like, don't do anything. Yeah, the Piltovers, the people from Piltover, they're scum, but we don't want to fight. It's gonna be bad if we fight.
Yeah,
and Grayson's like, I'm not arresting you because if I arrest you, it's that we're all gonna go to crap.
Yeah.
And Vander's like, too bad. I did it. You're not finding no kid.
Yep. And there's another layer here. So we got we thought it was the warden's gonna be there, but it was Vander. And then the warden show up. But then someone else shows up, and we didn't expect this person to be there.
No one expected this person. And
we don't
that
even is Shaco.
We don't even get to like see that. Because it's like, Vander gets cuffed.
Yeah.
Grayson reluctantly starts leading him out, and we get that cut to Vi, and Vi's listening in on it. And she runs over to the window to watch Vander get arrested and taken away.
Yeah.
She sees nothing but a sheet of blood cover the window.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, crap, something's changed. And, something very twisted has happened. And so Silco shows up.
You said it wrong.
You got twisted out of me. You get one.
He'll fall for it sooner or later.
So Silco shows up, and his boy Deckard is now just doing the whole anime shoo, shoo, across the screen, and every time he zooms, someone dies. So he kills all the enforcers, save Marcus, and you think Grayson for a second, and then like a helmet kind of goes away, and nope, Grayson's dead too.
That was a crazy moment.
It was a super crazy moment.
I didn't expect them to just, because that's an important character, right? We've only had 3 episodes with her, but she obviously is in power with this relationship. So it's crazy to see them take, because Deckard is kind of just a background character. So they'll have him basically kill her off screen, which off screen killings in cinema, that's a thing. So that's what makes it even more shocking, is like, oh no, this is going to be worse than we think, isn't it?
I mean, I was even talking about how like, Grayson was reluctantly arresting him because of how important this balance that they have between Vander and Grayson is. And then bam, dead. Bye. Gone. And this is where we get the reveal that Benzo, Vander, and Silco, they all know each other very intimately.
Yep.
And Benzo's like, nah, you should have stayed in whatever hole you were hiding in all these years. And he goes to punch Silco. A keyword punch. He's just, I'm going to punch you. You deserve to be punched. So what does he get in return? He doesn't even get the punch, and he just dies. Like, again, we get the yow, and Deckard swinging by, dead. There's a dead Benzo on the ground. Vander's just like, oh crap, no, like he's just watching the delicate balance that he's built all these years
Yeah.
die in front of him. He's watching his best friend die in front of him. It turns out that an ex best friend is behind all of it, and now he's getting carted away by some super mutant. And Vi is just watching it all happen through blood-stained glass.
Yeah. And this, once again, when we talk about like good storytelling up to this point, because of Vander's interactions with the children, you can immediately infer what type of relationship him, Benzo, and Silco had. Like that was the squad, right? When they were younger, that was the crew, and things went bad, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell he's trying to avoid that with Vi, Powder, and that crew, right? He wants them to not have that same kind of pattern play out. So I think that kind of nuance is real cool here in this scene, because it's obviously a tragic scene, and then it ends with a little bit of, it's a bittersweet that they don't kill Vander. They essentially discombobulate him. I'm going to use that word because I don't get to use it often enough. But then take him off for some other means. So we still have him with some life.
The only person left standing is Marcus. And I don't know how you would explain that to your superiors. Yeah, our whole squad is dead.
Especially when you're a hot-headed cop, right?
And the squad leader's dead, but I swear to you, I had nothing to do with, well, it was my contact that did it, but I had nothing to do with it. So yeah, he's got a lot of explaining to do. And it's this is where we get at least for me, like with Deckard killing everyone, we get the purple color, we get all these like kind of tendril-esque and tentacle movements.
Yeah.
And we also get this high-pitched squealing and clicking from him. If this isn't Void related, I will eat a shoe. Just calling it now.
Right? He's putting his money down.
Yeah.
So we get our first cut here.
Spoken.
We get our cut away from all this madness, right? Back to a more calmer space, which is the new burgeoning friendship between Victor and Jace, right? As they brainstorm around the notes that Jace has come up with. They have a bit of time. They have a bit of time to figure this stuff out, and they think they can do it. They think they're really close. And with, you know, two heads are better than one, right?
And the key thing here is that like whatever studies that Jace was doing, Victor is the one to kind of add the brain power to the equation side of it.
Yes.
And we do get that as far as in their backstories that, you know, where one was weaker, the other filled in. And so we're getting to see that on screen here. And so they decide that it's like, hey, we can get it to resonate, but we got to crank it. But if to do that, we need Jace's equipment, which Heimerdinger's destroying tomorrow. And then Victor's like, oh, that's cool. If only his assistant had a key, as he holds up Heimerdinger's key. And it was like, and like, this is a point where it's like Victor showing like, no, I have a goal. I will reach my goal.
Yep.
I am not done. I'm not stopping here. I'm going forward. Yep. And that's what drives Victor through all of this, is this drive to go forward to the glorious evolution.
Yep.
And go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say that. So we get that small moment before we come back to it. And then we get to go back to this Silco Vander situation for a bit. And this is where we get some reveals, right? Some bigger reveals from what we know up to this point. So obviously Vander's been taken by Silco, and they have a little one-on-one, right? A little heart-to-heart. And Silco lets him know that he never forgot who he truly is, right? Because the resistance leader, the person that everybody looks up to, that's not what Silco sees when he looks at Vander. He sees the guy who tried to drown him.
Yeah. And that's where we also get like, that this tranquil scene of Silco sleeping with the fishes is just like these dual personalities within him fighting, of like, there's one side that's like, hey, the water's calling to me, and if I take the water in, I'll be free and none of this will matter anymore. And the other side is desperately fighting for survival and turning into a primal, nature to survive.
Yeah.
Um, which it's a very cool way as far as like connecting like this first opening scene of Silco just honestly just being an edge lord into like something that is building the story a bit more. We also get to see in the struggle of him being drowned by Vander that he is while passing out he starts reaching for Vander's knife, which ruins our theory of Vander being a werewolf. So
Yeah.
we're already looking like fools, and it's only been a couple hours.
They did it on purpose. They knew what they were doing.
It was so close to spoop season. First, they take housekeeping from us, and now this, it will not stand. But I like the only other thing I want to mention is that right before we got to this, we did get to see Vi talking with Echo to figure out where Vander went. That scene lasts about like 5 seconds, and that scene is so rough because it is just Echo, showing that he knows how to get into places they shouldn't be. And then it's like, I saw the whole thing, and Benzo was basically his Vander. So then you get the whole Echo breakdown, and it's just like, oh no, this is the tone of the episode, isn't it?
Yep. We should have known better. There's no happy. Listen, we've been doing lore for how long? There really aren't happy endings. We should have known better.
But
during this discussion, though, between Silco and Vander, Vander's trying to say like that's not who I am anymore. Blah blah. And Silco brings up the point. Not only did you try to drown me, but when you drowned me in that water, the toxins and the gunk from that water got into my wound from where you hit me. And that's why my eye is the way it is. That's why I'm scarred. That's why I can't be just like everyone else anymore, right? And that's something that not only shows the conditions of Zon once again compared to Topside, but it's one of those things that reinforces making these people marginalized, right? And Vander didn't help Silco's situation despite being a quote unquote friend.
Yeah. And Vander still refers to Silco as a brother here.
Yeah.
And it's really just they're at an impasse of ideology. Whereas to Vander, to save the people of the lanes and Zon, he must submit to Piltover rule.
Yeah.
And to Silco, submission to Piltover rule is a direct betrayal to him. So it's like, you can't be my brother and submit.
Yep.
But like the fact that they do talk about like, and the dialogue does go and develop a lot here, is that Silco, I think this is the only time that Silco is really trying to reach Vander.
Yeah.
It's the only time I think that they're talking as equals and not as enemies.
He makes it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I lost the point.
To what you just said was he makes a great quote here, which is one that I think will live past the episode, is you'd die for a cause, but you won't fight for one. And that really sums it up really well, right? Is that Vander still stands for this thing, but his working with Grayson, him doing these passive things in the greater good of Zon in his mind is exactly what that statement says, is he's not willing to do the hard work to solve the problem, because what he's doing currently is going to get him killed for nothing.
Yeah. And so now we like, as far as them reaching this impasse, the scene ends as far as with Vander, like getting taken over to a chair to get locked up.
Yep.
But the two things that get left here before we cut away is that we get a name for the chemical that turned Deckard into whatever monster he is now. And that chemical is called Shimmer.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also see in the background, just kind of like a fly on the wall again, some of the patrons of the last drop. So of Vander's bar. And that's, we keep seeing these different times of Vander talking down the people of the bar and of the lanes of like, no, we do not want a war. We do not want to fight. And the ones that were constantly saying, no, we want to fight.
Yeah.
Why don't you? they're now switching sides. And it's like, hey, Silco wants a fight, and that guy beat your butt. So yeah, we'll go with him.
Yeah.
And then we get cut away there, and the cutaway is going straight back to the academy, and we are watching the two worst thieves try to sneak their way into Heimerdinger's office. And I mean, I can't stress enough the two worst thieves. One, they're loud as shit. Two, they got lights on in a dark hallway. Like, you just like you minimal. It's got to be minimal light. All right.
And we also have the parallel between them and the the Zonites. Like, we have people from Zon, so we watch Vi and Powder and them when they're breaking into something, right? When they're picking locks, they're schmoovin'. There's a movement to it where they know they have to do something quick. They're like almost like warriors, like trained battlefield warriors.
Everyone has a job. Everyone has
Jace
a job to
and Victor are privileged, so they're just like, oh, we can do this.
They have the key.
And then they have the key, and they're still taking forever.
He's got all the keys, and he doesn't even know which freaking key opens the door to the office. That's like the one key you should know, right?
Yeah. It's a good parallel there.
It is a great parallel, but of course, our dastard Piltover thieves are immediately caught. But luckily for them, they're caught by probably the most progressive person in the academy.
Whew, that is generous.
Hear me out. But they're caught by Mel Medarda. And the reason I say that it's the most progressive is because, like, yo, you already got kicked out of this academy, so why shouldn't I arrest you right now for what you're trying to do? And Jace finally clearly and concisely argues his point. He argues his study. He's telling Medarda as far as what he was studying, what his goals were, and how Victor was able to help him. I love this scene too, because Jace is like finally trying to plead his court case for once, and Victor's just AFK, still trying to find the key. And like, he's just barely chiming in of like, oh no, we figured it out.
Yeah, that's some foreshadowing too about Jason's going to be doing a lot of pleading his case for a very long time.
For a very long time. And so then we have this scene of like the actual security guards doing their passes with Medarda, listening to Jace, and Medarda gives an ultimatum of like, look, you have tonight. So up until you get caught for real tonight, you better impress me. And if you don't impress me, you're going to jail.
Yes.
Simple as that. And Medarda guides the security guard away, and our thieves are left to look for the key. We don't even see them get into the freaking office. They're just still left to look for the key. But yeah. Like, if you're not shipping these boys together, like, this dumb antics are going to get them shipped immediately.
So the thing to keep in mind too, so we talked about this in episode 2. If you haven't listened to that, I don't know why you would skip from 1 to 3, but don't do that. Go back and listen to 2. Mel's main motivation that we know of, which is mentioned in the beginning of that episode, is that she needs something to help push Piltover to the top of the map, to be number 1, right? To be able to be the city of progress they want to be. And she knows that what they are messing with is a possibility based on not only what they have expressed. She knows they're two smart individuals, but also the fact that Heimer's so scared makes her intrigued. So and that's another thing to keep in mind with this decision to give them one more shot. Yeah.
And part of Jace's plea is that, this is supposed to be the city of progress. And I believe I'm on the forefront of progress. Yeah.
She's like, fool, city of fascism. What are you talking about?
You fool. No, you hail me. So yeah, they get left to try to look for a key, and then that's where we get just right back to the tones, the echo set for this episode. We get Vi making it back to the last drop and to assemble the troops to try to save Vander. And this is the first time that Vi actually has a chance to kind of freak out over what is happening, what's going on, and what she
Mm,
has to do. And so a big part of this freak out is that, we get to see Jinx, actually, process the fear that Vi is going through. Because like she's watching Vi's arms shake and everything, and Jinx is like, "Look, you told me that the more I work at it, the more I tinker, the better I'm gonna get at it. I'm ready. I can fight. I have my mouses and my monkeys, and I'm ready to fight." And Vi, hits her with the look. You're not ready. And it's important as far as like with the first episode when they're doing the whole jumping from rooftops, when when Powder is freaking out, Levi says, "Powder, I told you you were ready, so go. You're ready." And now it's like, no, for this you're not ready. And in Vi's defense, yeah,
No,
yeah,
yeah, up
like
to this point, yeah, up to
it's a
this point,
super
it's
mutant.
it's yeah, up to this point, she's been a liability, right? Vi's always trying to protect her, but like you mentioned, Vi is very vulnerable at this moment, which isn't usual considering she's the Red Power Ranger. So she needs to be always leading, but she's even shooken, and the other guys are trying to help her get like, let's do this, let's go. And the important part here is and the emotionally impacting part is that we get Vi panicking, taking off, leaving Powder behind. And then we get a scene where it's a very drawn out, like Powder having a panic attack. Like this is not a tantrum.
That
This
was
is
real.
not a freak out. This is a panic attack. And it's not a normal panic attack because she's having it near the Hextech crystals. And we get a flashback, or kind of, it's weird. It's more like a memory type situation
Yeah. Mhm.
where we notice that this whole time, these crystals are somehow affecting her mind. So she, obviously she has, uh, uh, what is it, like not PTSD, I guess sort of like PTSD from the events that started off this whole act. Um, Obviously she has grief, and obviously she's like a shy individual, but they are kind of tweaking how she's processing this stuff. And this is the first clear view we get of, oh no, her like panic attack is amplified
Yeah.
and twisted
Yeah,
with these crystals.
and I don't even think that it's a thing where she's even like it's not even on her radar that it's a tweaking of her
Yeah,
psyche,
yeah,
because for her it's her curiosity, it's her sense of tinkering,
yeah,
because now she's able to she's watching these during her panic attack, she knocks the crystals out and she's watching them, bounce, and they're creating that energy
yep,
again. And so for her, it's like, oh, she's now putting these pieces together of like, now I understand what happened to that building, or at least I think I do. And if I understand it, maybe I can use that to my advantage. And of course, she's not realizing that her idea of using that to her advantage is terrorism. Um, and so that's where it's like not even on the radar of like the
yeah.
psyche is screwed.
Yeah, this is one of those cases of somebody very young in a very tough situation, growing up too fast in a very altered reality, right? She's having to deal with a lot of stuff that she shouldn't have to be dealing with. And obviously, in this scene, there's Hextech crystals. So you know what that means. Cut to the duo.
Cut to the duo. And the duo, because of the calculations that they ran,
Mhm.
they know that to go deeper into the studies that Jace was doing, in their exact words, they've got to crank it. And
The
crank
internet,
it they do.
the
Um,
internet loves that one.
You oh, I am ready for the memes. If you got them, hit us up. It's podcast core Twitter. Uh, but yeah, so they get the crystals, they set up Jace's equipment, and they turn that crap up to 11. They get to have their nice little panic attack of like no, like Jace was like, no, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And Victor's like, no, it'll stabilize, and it does stabilize. And as far as with it stabilizing, they're like, okay, um, well, now what do we do? He's like, and Jace is like, I don't know, it's never done this before. So he starts trying to actually use the machine he's built to work off of this stabilization,
Yeah.
and he blows up the office. And then in a panic of this explosion and his impeding death, he goes to turn off this machine like, oh, maybe it's already blown up. Maybe this will help. And surprisingly, it does. So not only does it help, but it rewinds time and they're just back to the stabilized. And now they're like, oh, that's different. And this is where we start getting more of like the where he's using the flashback that we had earlier for him on the mountain in episode 2. He's remembering what this mysterious character, his savior, did, and remembering, like, trying to remember the symbols, which we now see on this machine. He has carved these symbols onto it, and he starts trying to get everything in position. He goes to crank that sucker once everything's in position, and we get a big old hoverboard. I don't get it. Like, they turn the whole room into just hovering.
Oh, so it's a suspension field. It's like, Victor's move. Yeah, Victor's move in the game.
Duh. Yeah. I'm an idiot. I'm leaving. I'm off this podcast. I'm useless. I'm useless. I don't deserve.
It's a direct.
Take my nerd card.
To that.
My nerd card. I don't deserve to be here. Yeah. So they create it.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the success for them. That's finally giving them the credibility that they sought for in that night. And everybody was there. Everybody who's important was there to witness it as well, which is also important. So this then takes us back. So they get the results. Cool. Yeah. We're done with that.
The last thing to point here is with them getting their results, with the explosion happening and them breaking into the room, security finally finding them. Heimerdinger is the first one there. It's not even Medarda that's first. So Heimerdinger directly witnesses that science can control this magic. He's still against it, but Medarda light bulb turned on. This is my chance to put us on the map. So they are now butting heads, but at the very least, Jace and Victor are not banished, and that's where we leave off with them. So then we go back to the Sump Rats on a rescue mission.
Yeah. So we have Vi's group kind of sneaking in because once again they know the shortcuts to places. They know the underground, so they're able to get in the room. But even so, I think one thing they fail to remember is that Silco is also from the Undercity. So they get to Vander, and he's like, how did you guys get in here so easy? They're like, it was simple. We snuck past the guards. And he's like, no, not that many guards. And the guards show up. And this is the moment where we get finally the build up towards action scene of sorts, right? They're in a moment where they thrive best. Everything we've seen up to this point is them having these tough situations that they make their way out of at record speed. And they're all right, cool. You start working on the locks. You find us a way out of here. I'm going to go beat these guys up, right?
An action scene of sorts. Like, were we watching the same thing? Because all I typed here for this action scene that we finally get is Vi stands for violence. Like, Vi is just out for blood. She's like, okay, like we walked into a trap where we are officially trapped.
Yeah.
And we do get to see her really wear her red Ranger suit here because the moment she realizes it's a trap and sees that the trap has been triggered, she just turns around and is like, Milo, pick the locks, get Vander out of there. Clagger, you find an alternate exit for us to get out of here. I'll hold them off. The moment Vander's free, we're out.
Yep.
Like, she's just like, nope, you got a job, I got a job, go to work. And then we do get to see Vi finally throw some punches and look more like the Vi that we know. Because at least at the beginning of this, she is dominating this fight. Like, this is not the same scrappy fight that we had at the beginning of the show. She here to play.
She puts the hands on him. And at that point, Silco knows, she knows what she's doing. So he gives his boy the juice again to get him up and going. And this is where the fight kind of turns, right? Obviously, she's not going to be able to handle that type of a goon per se. So she immediately, like I said, like, she's quick. These kids are quick. She kind of starts crawling away, feigning death, sort of, and then rushes into the room where Vander is, grabs the door, and locks it like in multiple places, which was a good, just that's awareness, right?
Yeah.
And one of the kids is banging out this wall to get it open. The locks
Clacker.
are almost off. And then we get cut to, not cut completely away, but we get to see what Jinx is doing during this time. So during this whole time, she's decided she's ready. She's been following them and she's climbed around like the side of, let's call it like a warehouse. And she's at the top, ready to do something. What is that something? Well, she has some
Right.
crystals on her.
Yeah, I think I don't even know if she was like fully intending to do it until she's getting the scenes of Deckard just about to kill Vi.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I have to do this. It's my time to save them. And I know that I can with my newest invention, which is straight up just the cymbal clacking monkey with the hex tech core in between the cymbals. And what I have in my notes here is, oh dear God, Jinx, don't do this to me. And then the very next line of notes that I have is, spoiler, she does. So she sends in her newest invention, and we get a first-hand glance at this explosion from everyone's perspective. Where instead of like with Jace, where he gets, blown into a wall and just instantly knocked out, we get to see everything with this explosion. So Powder gets knocked off the side of the building. She is now flying down into the waters of Zon. The door gets blown straight into the room where our Sump Rats and Vander are holed up trying to outlast Deckard. The door takes out Cloggart. So that's one down. The after it takes him out, the impact ends up throwing debris, impaling Milo. And in case you thought Milo might make it, debris from the roof falls on top of him. So he's gone. Deckard gets blown out of the picture. All of the henchmen on the bridge that Vi has been fighting on this time are all blown away. Silco almost is blown away, but we get to see one of the patrons of the last drop dive in front, Mr. President, get down, takes the blast for Silco, so she's dead instead, and Silco just gets thrown away. And
she had an arm blown off. It looked like she did this angle thing.
Yeah.
And it did like a pan, like a shadow shot of her arm getting blown off, but she does pop up a little bit later.
She pops up. I only saw her on the ground.
And then I don't know if you saw the trailer afterwards. We'll talk about that then.
Oh, I didn't watch the trailer. I purposely
mine auto played, which sucked because I was watching the credits and then it just started playing and it was only 40 seconds long. I was like, wait, what's happening?
The moment I saw the words autoplay, I closed the whole window.
just
like,
destroy your TV,
Chrome.
just slam your TV into the ground.
I punched my monitor. It's just like, none of this.
Yeah, and to your point, that was all done with, I think, 3 Hextech crystals. Because she put 2 inside the body of the thing, and then it had 1 clacker around the neck. And remember, there's more than 3 Hextech crystals. So that's the scary thing about this energy, right? It's so unstable and powerful.
Yeah. And the only other difference that needs to be noted is with Powder getting blown off the side of the building, all this death and destruction that we get first person looks at. We cut back to a slow-mo of Powder falling off the building, and there is nothing but the biggest smile on her face.
Insanity.
Like it was just the triumph of a child. Like a child trying to do something that's way out of their league and they pull it off. The way I feel when I kill a boss in a Dark Souls game.
We're all children when it comes to From Software.
And that so yeah, and once the dust clears, Vander, like concussed, looks around, sees a concussed Deckard getting to his feet, looks to his side and sees almost all of his kids dead. Vi pinned under debris, looking like she might as well be dead. And he's like, well, I got nothing left. He grabs some makeshift knuckles. He goes to put in some work on Deckard. And weirdly enough, like against this mutant thing, the fight is like semi even. Like he's at least standing, right? Like he's not dead immediately. He gets some punches in, he takes a couple hits, and it's like we're gonna fight this out. And of course, there's always in League of Legends, whenever you're having a good one-on-one, it's no longer a one-on-one. You're gonna get ganked. And Silco ganks him. And then we finally get the end of the flashback of Silco drowning in the water. And it's now a very clear vision of Vander drowning him, and also a very clear vision of him grabbing the knife from Vander, slashing his way to freedom, giving him the scar on his face and the scar on his wrist that he keeps covered up by the bracer. And then once that flashback is done, he gives him another stab and twist of the knife to be certain, tosses him over the edge, and Vander is dead. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he landed in a pool of serum, which that doesn't do anything. So
Wait, what kind of serum? Oh, the shimmer.
yeah, knocks him into the shimmer, and obviously he's like, well, this is my last hurrah anyways. If you played against Scion, you know what happens next. He ingests some of the shimmer. It gives him the effects he needs to go a little bit longer. It allows him to save Vi, which is the most important part. And it's cool because it puts him in this mental place where he's on the bridge. Silco's on one end, Vi's on the other end, and he has to make a decision because this place is falling apart, and he makes the right decision, thankfully, grabs Vi and jumps out the side to fall, unfortunately, to his end. And that obviously that's a very impactful scene. And before we go any further, I want to say that this depiction of destruction is so realistic. Whereas in most movies, most blockbusters, when a building's blowing up in the background, you have people doing dialogue and big diatribes and flashbacks, and there's plenty of time, and it's very dramatic, music is swelling us. Like, no, this thing exploded and this building started falling apart, and we got to watch it happen, and there were consequences to explosions. It's not just, oh, cool guy doesn't look at explosion. No, explosion sends debris everywhere and kids die. And that made this very difficult to watch. Yeah. And this wasn't like in a gruesome way or meant for just show. This was very emotionally driven. And that was probably their point, was like, hey, we want to show you why this was a bad thing, right? Because the responses that happen afterwards need to play off of this.
Yes. And it's important that it is highlighting that there are very strong emotional responses to all of this carnage that's happening around them, because we know that these characters don't stay the way they are forever.
Not past this point.
Not spoiler, it's this point. So Vander makes a choice. He saves Vi, and we don't get a death monologue.
Thank goodness.
Peter Jackson, go somewhere else. Like, we don't. There's no death monologue. We get Vi looking around, like, this whole feeling of just like, where the hell am I? Am I even alive? Looks at Vander, goes, Vander, we made it. Oh, and then Vander just gives one look to her, says, take care of Powder.
Yeah.
Dead. That's it. That's the closest thing to a monologue
we
get.
We do get something.
And the moment that he dies after saying take care of Powder, someone needs to come for their victory lap, because they did it. Here comes Powder.
Well, the one thing I wanted to mention was that they didn't do the monologue, but they did do the scream to the heavens and the lightning strike.
Oh yeah,
So
they did.
so listen, they're batting 500 here. Like, they couldn't avoid all the tropes, but the one genius part to Hetch's point is that there was no monologue, but we got to hear like the sound changed where his heartbeat, which was accelerated by the serum, was very erratic, like like you would have in like a beep beep, but it was accelerated because of the serum, and you could hear it slowing down like a car decelerating. And that was the sign that made her turn around, right? Because he's over enhanced, so it's extra loud. And I think that was a really good way to portray the accelerated end of Vander. But yeah, Powder shows up, and this is dude. Listen, when it comes to tugging at heartstrings, when you got me, you got me. But it's like you got me, and then you're just shaking me.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, keep crying. Because Powder's response was heartbreaking because to Hetch's point, she thought she did it. She thought she saved the day. She thought not only did she save the day, but she redeemed herself for all the time she was considered dead weight. And this was literally the biggest mistake she's ever made.
Yeah. And not only is it the biggest mistake she's made, she's making her victory lap, and it's because of the victory lap that Vi is finally able to figure out what in the world happened. So then the moment that it's like that final piece fell in place, her immediate gut reaction is, you killed our whole family.
Yep.
Like, what? How? I don't know how
They're
I
children.
would respond there.
They're children. Yeah, it's
I'm
crazy.
an adult, and I don't know how I would respond there. Like looking at my sibling and being like, you killed literally our whole family.
And she does respond in her innate, kind of survival way where she strikes Powder for the first time, and she grabs her by the face, and she notices her blood on her hands, and then she kind of shocks back. And it's one of those moments where, we'll repeat this again, I think it's obvious at this point, children should not be dealing with these situations. So both are having these complex emotions. So what do? They kind of just run away from it, right? Vi just runs. It's the whole anime. It's the classic trope of when you can't process the emotion, run as fast as you can in a direction. She does that, but she does stop because someone shows themselves again.
Yeah. So Vi, while she is running away, before we even get this showing, we go back to Panic Attack 2.0 for Powder.
Yes.
And like that, it wasn't fun the first time we had to do it, but then again, you've got my emotions, you're shaking me, and then it's like, here, you know what would be good for you to see right now? Panic Attack 2.0. And it's like, I can't do this. And
we couldn't even handle Ruination 2.0. And that
I couldn't handle Ruination 2.0. So then during this panic attack, Silco shows up.
Yeah.
And I love that when Silco shows up, like he's holding the knife, right? Like he's holding a knife out, the knife that he's killed Vander with. And, he's clearly postured for like, I'm going to kill Vander's kids. But his face also shows the staring at Powder going, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like, just like all the wind is out of his
Everything
sails.
went bad, like really bad.
Everything went bad so quick. And he's like, what the hell is this? So he's frozen with like, I don't know how to process this, but I'm also know I want to kill you. Mm-hmm. And that's when Vi notices a silhouette and goes, oh crap. He's going to kill Powder. And
yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure, she killed my whole family and everything, but she's all the family I got left. So Vi then goes back into survival mode of, I have to save Powder, gets one step, and bam, Marcus has been watching the whole time.
Scumbag.
Yep, and Marcus is like, nope, you go back in there and you're dead. The only chance you got to go back and save her is to come with me. And that's like, we know as far as from Vi's character in the game that she is connected with the enforcers. Bam, connection. I love that they're not spelling it out for us or anything, right? They're not forming this path or anything. And
But
it
we
kind
do
of,
spell it out for you. So definitely
yeah,
check out our other episodes, because then you'll know what we're talking about.
yeah, we leave the spelling of this out for us. All right,
Yeah.
we got it. Arcane won't do it for you, and it's because of the pacing is perfect.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, there's consequences for explosions. Because you don't want to stay there for 15 minutes to spell it out. No, this is all happening in like a minute and a half,
Yeah.
and we gotta go. So Marcus is like, nope, if you want, you go back in there, you're dead. Your only chance to survive is to come with me. And they sink into the shadows.
Yep. And then we get a shot back to where we're going to end it here for this act is Powder looks up and she sees Silco, and she goes to what we look like is to tackle him, but she's actually embracing him because there's nothing left, right? And he asked her about her sister and what's going on, because like you said, Silco is just as confused about how bad this went that he wants answers now. And she tells him, I have no sister, she left me. And we get a shot of her looking at the camera, and we get the eyes.
Which I love, like, this twist, because now it's like, you know, it leaves questions, right? Like, because obviously the first thing that from watching the trailers that we were all thinking is that whatever Silco is making is what turns Jinx, but that's not the case. But now it's the question of like, is she just that crazy?
Yeah, has it gone on too long for too far for too long?
Yeah, was it just too much and she snapped?
Yeah.
Is it the hex tech cores? Like, is there some kind of lingering effect, like from all of this direct contact with these hex tech cores, like radiation or something that is like melted her psyche to the point where she's just like, ha, I'm now gone.
And
but
those are the questions that will be answered in the second act.
I hope so. I hope we get
Arcane.
some answers.
So let's kind of wrap this up. Once again, thanks for hanging out with us. This has been a long one. I know each one gets longer and longer, but we had to go, like, how many times we're going to have this opportunity, right? So thanks for hanging out, listening to the thing with us, going through these points. And like we said, let us know what you think about, we've said a lot of things. Some of it has to be wrong. So let us know if you think something different. That would be cool. But also, we're going to do the rest of the acts, right? The plan is to have this special be a full thing that we do for each act as the event goes on. So we're looking forward to it. Hetch, go ahead and give it your rating out of 5 for this episode. This is just fun. Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, no,
don't cancel us.
No, for me, this one was definitely a 5 out of 5. Like, I got to see what I wanted, which was like, you know, some vibe, action, some punching, and you cannot go on that emotional roller coaster and like actually ride it as hard as I did and not give it a 5 out of 5. Like, they did way too much work, and it was very well done.
I think the majority of people agree and were brought to tears as much as we were, and that's a 5 out of 5 experience, right? These 3 episodes together have been way above expectation. I knew expectations were high for this. Come on, what couldn't be this high? But they met it, and that's crazy. And now the question is, you have 6 more episodes. You're hitting them out of the park. Let's keep up this pace, this writing, this care with the story. It's beyond what we thought, and we're happy to see it.
And you know that we're going to be critical of them hitting it out of the park because you know, we brought the World Series back to Atlanta. So
go Braves, by the way.
We are officially the authority on this.
And with that, thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with the next Arcane episode.
Take care, everybody.